which is the only year that we didn't go to a bowl game. A lot of people talked about it, and I was still telling them that we wanted to play in a BCS game, and they said, this guy, we love this guy's passion, but I think he's crazy. And now we played in two. So for us as a program, on behalf of my players, I just want to tell you thank you for helping us get to this point, because it's taken a lot of different people between alumni, they've raised the money and given us the kind of facilities we have, to university that support us, to the players and the high school coaches that have helped us get to where we are, because really great players make great coaches. So for us, and on behalf of our staff, our chancellor, our board of trustees, I just wanted to say thanks.
Okay, we'll take questions from the floor. We got a question about halfway back in the middle.
Bryce Cherry, Waco Tribune Herald. Gary, as you mentioned, you guys have been in a lot of different conferences, and the goal's always been the same. But do you feel like now joining the Big 12, is there more of a sense of stability? I mean, do you feel like you found your home now?
Well, I would say this to you, and I've kind of used this line. I think Fort Worth, before we play a ball game, wins. I think before we play one ball game, TCU wins. Financially, credibility-wise, Gary Patterson's job got harder. But that's okay. If you look at what we've had to accomplish in the facilities, we were walking 1.5 miles to practice 15 years ago when LT was our starting running back. And now our practice fields are right outside. So, there's a lot of things that stand in front of us. But I would say as a university and as a group, totally, that we do feel like that we're a little bit more stable in what we're doing. Yes, sir.
Whoa, wait. We got a question up here on the front right first.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Hey, I was looking deep. We're worried about vertical routes, not the short check down. I'm sorry.
We're going to short front right.
David Ubben, ESPN.com. Gary, you talked this spring about how you had every Big 12 game from the last couple of years on your laptop.
Yep.
Having watched those, anything stick
They're
out
fast.
to you? Anything stick out to you that maybe you didn't necessarily know?
No, because, most of the kids, we've been recruiting against the Big 12 for the last 7 or 8 years. And we always felt like if we could get a few of those guys that could play at that level, that we could win the Mountain West or whatever conference we were part of. And we've won more of those battles here in the last 3 or 4 years. So, we know a lot about the players. Most of those teams that we're talking about have Texas players. We recruited them. We had them in camp. We understand the kind of players that they have. It's no different. That's the one great thing about coming back in the Big 12 for us, is that when you do step on the field, you're stepping on the field that you knew our kids, they're going to know guys they played against in high school. There's a natural challenge to all this, and that after you leave the field, you've heard me say this a lot, and I truly believe it. For 3 hours, you got to hate each other. It's a violent game. You got to go get after each other. But afterwards, I firmly believe it's about life, and it's about how do you help everybody else. It's about friendships and relationships. I keep talking to alumni all the time now, coming back into the Big 12, of the people they played against from Baylor and Texas Tech and Texas. If you just go down the list of alumni that talk about their friends now that they tailgate together, now they're going to get a chance, every year to go, whether it's at their place at ours, they're going to get a chance to spend a whole day with them or maybe a couple days. Besides what I need to get done and my team needs to get done, I think everybody else wins.
Okay, now we'll go out to the left side a little bit longer.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, Gary, I guess I'm your deep threat now. But anyway, in the past, you guys used this as a rallying cry. When you would play a Big 12 team, you'd say, this is our chance to play against the big guys. You said that playing Baylor, playing other teams like that in the past. How's that going to change playing them all the time, you think? Just the mentality of your program.
Well, still, you're still playing the same football team. It doesn't matter what logo's on your jersey. I think the thing for us is to understand that I can't, as a head coach, just being honest with you, I'm saying that everything that we did up to this point, if I say, well, now we're in the big time, then what I'm saying that the Rose Bowl game didn't count, that playing in the Fiesta Bowl didn't count, winning all the ball games. This senior class is 36-3. We all talk about wins, but the bottom line to it is their 3 losses are to Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl, to Baylor by 2 points, and SMU in overtime, 2 rivalry games. And so they understand how to win. How does that equivocate and how does that go forward? We don't know. We're going to have to go prove it just like we have to go prove it every year. But, I'm not you sit in a situation where you're trying to move a program and a university forward as a football program. How do you do that and give them confidence? I read what all of you write, and, the key to it is, can they do it on a day-to-day basis? Well, we're going to find out, but I don't think it's a quick race. I don't think it's one of those situations where we're going to define TCU on what happens in 2012. Do we want to win the conference championship? Yes, we do. Every team, every head coach that's going to sit up here should be able to say the same thing. And that's what your goal is. Do we want to play someday for a national championship? Yes, we do. Will it happen? We're going to find out. But I think for us, being in the Big 12 will help us recruiting-wise. It's already doing that. We've had kids that we've recruited, but we couldn't get them on campus, and now come on campus. Now looking at facility, now they see what kind of new locker room we have. They see the indoor. They see the new stadium. They see the kind of crowds that we're going to have. We've already sold out. How is that going to affect us over the next 3 to 5 years? I think that's important. But I think winning is the number one thing. That's what I've been telling my people since February, is that when you're sitting on the side of the mountain, you don't rest. I mean, everything we've done to this point is great, but now the real work starts. Now we're climbing. It's another challenge. It's another way. We got to keep climbing the mountain. And the higher you get on a mountain, the thinner the air and the harder it is. So, for us, we're going to keep doing that. Starting on August 5th, we're going to come into camp, and we're going to do the same thing. It's going to be the same first 11 practices as it's been for the last 12 years. Because my goal and my job is to produce the best TCU football team I possibly can. That's the only thing I have control over. And then we're going to see how that stacks up to everybody else in our non-league schedule. Because you got Virginia coming to town. That was a bowl team. You have SMU, which it's always a Super Bowl. They beat us in overtime a year ago. You got to go to Kansas, which will be probably 2-0 with their non-conference with a new head coach. I mean, every challenge along the way, sports. I write a whole, and I'm not, so you don't have to ask the question. Write a whole paragraph how I think the whole sheet of how I think the season needs to go. I write it in the summertime. After I study, we're going on the road, coming home, and we're going to see if we can follow that roadmap.
Got a question on the outside right.
Yeah, Randy Riggs from the Austin American-Statesman. You kind of answered my question, which was going to be about the reception you're getting from recruits now that you're in the new league. But let me ask you, does the new league change your recruiting tactics at all about the kind of players you go after or anything?
If anything, I've actually backed up. I felt the last couple of years with the early commitment stuff, I felt we had a couple guys come in that maybe it was about getting a great private school education, all of it, but maybe it wasn't about winning a national championship. And so if you'll notice in our commitment deal up to this lately here in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think we had only 3 or 4 commitments. So I've kind of backed up, making sure that the guys that we do commit to TCU, that old saying, it's not the guys you lose that get you beat, it's the one that you take that can't play. And so for me, and I'm very excited about this freshman class that just came in. And, obviously they're freshmen. You hear me use the term paper tigers. And so I don't know what they're like, but as far as character, credibility, work ethic, everything, what they've done so far this summer, they're going to make us a better football team. And so we'll move forward with it. But probably, if anything, I've backed up a little bit as far as making sure that I've been a little bit more patient as far as taking a commitment or offering one.
Question on the outside right.
Hi, Brendan Morris with the Daily Collegian. Obviously, football's a game of adjustments. Has there been any adjustment in the offseason preparation, or have you noticed a difference in your team's preparation as you go to the Big 12 competition?
Well, not really. I think our kids are excited. I tell you what's really helped us moving into our new weight room, because we moved from about 8,000 square feet to a 20,000 square feet facility. And what it's done is, I think, and I've just kind of watched the kids walk through the office, I think Coach Summers has done an unbelievable job. We probably, since the beginning of May when we ended school to right now, our upper body, shoulders, everything, because we've been able to work in more individual groups, I think, out there, has been unbelievable. They look like a whole different football team right now than I thought we ended in May. And so, I'm kind of excited myself to see how they approach two-a-days, because we've always been a group that's kind of attacked it. We haven't shied away. Even in Texas Heat, we don't go in the mornings. We go 4 to 6, because that's when you're going to have to play. We run in the afternoons, and so it's going to be kind of interesting to see what our mental state is and how we want to attack it. This year's a little bit different two-a-day-wise, because we don't play the first weekend of the season, so we only have 2 weeks of two-a-days. And so then we start school, and then we have 3 weeks of one-a-days, which really allows us to get our legs back. The negative is you don't play the first ball game of the season. the positive is that, you know, you get a chance to grow up a younger football team a little bit longer.
Question on the outside left.
Gary, I wonder, you talked about your schedule, if you could just talk about getting that first week off and how the season comes backloaded with the 3 tough games at the end.
Well, I don't, you know, everybody keeps talking about all the games tough at the end. I don't know how you guys see it. I think, you know, I've always approached it. I think starting from the beginning, obviously, you know, if you're going to struggle with the 1AA school coming in your place, and you got a chance to open a new stadium, break a record, then you're going to probably struggle the rest of the year. But I think starting even with Kansas, I think all the way through it, each one of those games poses a problem, and we should approach it like that. And we've always been a very workmanlike group when it comes to ball games like that. You know, I tell people, give me a bad time about talking about winning by 1 point. You know, but really whether it's about life or it's about football, it's about the same thing. But, you know, because people say, well, you're not going to be playing New Mexico anymore, you're not going to be playing Vegas anymore. Yeah, but those were 50-point ball games. What's reality? Because all you have to do is win by 1 point to get where you need to get to. And last year was a great example of kind of the mental toughness that our group had. You know, all the games that we had to win, all the bowl teams in our conference were all on the road. The Mountain West commissioners and presidents changed the ball game from Fort Worth to Boise, because we were only going to play them once. You had to go to San Diego State. You had to go to Air Force. You know, you could talk to Coach Stoops about playing Air Force and what's that like, because you're used to playing, you know, getting ready for a regular conventional offense and then get ready for the triple. Along the way, all of them present problems, and for us, it's going to be, you know, it's a lot of work, but I think one of the things is everybody's kind of excited about it, because kids that come from the state of Texas, they grew up being told that they're supposed to play in big games. You know, and there's a lot of kids from Texas that are playing on a lot of Big 12 schools that have played in a lot of big games, and there's a lot of good football coaches, head football coaches in this league. So, you know, we just got to do what we've got to do.
Outside left, and then we'll come up to the front.
Blair Kirchhoff with the Kansas City Star. Gary, over the last couple of years, while the Big 12 was going through its uncertainty, you know, your school, just being right down the road, had kind of a front row seat to what everything was going on. What were your observations about that time, and at what point did you think TCU might be able to, you know, take advantage of this?
Well, number one, and maybe it's just because where I grew up in the old Big 8, growing up in Kansas, and watching everything. I've never felt that the Big 12 was ever not secure, even before TCU came in. I think you have some unbelievable universities, some unbelievable programs on a lot of levels, not just football, but a lot of different athletic programs that have positives. And so, like I began with my opening statement, what we want to do is we want to add to it. We want to make sure that when we're done with our journey at TCU, whether I'm the head coach or before, because, you know, as a head coach, all you want to do is leave a place better than you had it when you got there. And I think that we're already going that direction. But we're not done yet. And I'm excited. I think that our people, and I've said this in a couple different articles, you know, we need to make sure that everybody understands. You know, I think TCU has a chance, and Fort Worth has a chance to be the best destination city in the Big 12. You get a chance, you can come in on a Wednesday, watch the Rangers, 15 minutes down the road, go play golf, go to dinner, go to the Galleria, come over here, go to the Stockyards, watch the TCU game, and then watch the Cowboys on Sunday, and then later in the year watch the Stars and the Mavericks. I mean, if you're a sports fanatic, why would you want to? You know, you can make a week of it. And so we need to make sure as a city and as a university that we treat it as such. 3 hours on a Saturday or a Friday or whenever we play, or a Thursday, you know, we've got to go do what we have to do. But outside of that, it needs to be about relationships and make the people in the Big 12 glad that they invited us. As a team, how we play on the field, how we carry ourselves, and how our fans carry themselves off the field.
We have 2 questions on the front row in the middle, and then we'll come to the outside.
Jason Kersey from the Oklahoman. Coach, that 2005 win over Oklahoma, how often do you think about that game?
Are you just trying to make Coach Stoops mad at me again? I mean, then we had to come back in 2008. I mean,
No, that game, I mean, what did that game do in terms of propelling your program to this point? Did that have anything to do with this? And also, how often do you think about that now that you're a member of that conference?
well, number one, it was a big learning situation. If you remember, 2004 was the only year that we didn't get one of these rings. You know, we've had 13 bowl rings in 14 years. And so we went through an off-season, a spring that was, you know, I don't care, I'm going to find out who really wants to play. So coming in the Oklahoma game, excluding Oklahoma, just what was TCU going to be like? How are we going to answer? How are we going to answer the call? What kind of program are we going to be moving forward? And so that was only going to be my 4th year as a head football coach. What is going to be my trademark, how you're going to handle adversity? And we did it, but, you know, we didn't learn how to be a winner, because we win that ball game, we come back, and the only loss of the season, we lose the next week at SMU. Then we go on in 2005, which is the first year in the Mountain West Conference. We beat Utah at overtime at our place on a Thursday night. Then we got to go to BYU, the 2 top teams in the Mountain West, and we win there 51-50. And so, you know, there was a lot of things going on, but there was, you know, people. You look back, you've got to learn from history, but the bottom line to it is you can't look back too long. You know, and so for me, how we move forward, what's going to be like, and what's this team going to be like, and how are we going to handle ourselves doing it?
Question on the outside right.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Gary, Penn State, what's happened over the last several months, has that given you or your staff or your department, whoever, what have you done in the wake of that in terms of just getting together and saying, listen, here's what we need to do differently, here's how we need to look at things? Has it made you do anything differently in the way you guys conduct your business?
Well, I don't think things have been the same since it happened, but, you know, I would probably follow what Coach Saban talked about. Obviously, it's tragic on a lot of levels, a lot of different people. But for me, you know, I would really follow what Coach Saban said, is that, okay, I'm more interested in how we're going to find an answer to the problem. Because that problem is not just at Penn State. We got to find the problem. That's a world problem. That's not just a Penn State problem. So for me, how do we handle that problem? Because I'm in a business about kids. You know, that's why I have my foundation. That's why we give back to Fort Worth. We're always trying to help kids. So, you know, that's a hard question for you to ask any college football coach that's been in a long time, because it's your life. So I'm going to try to find an answer.
Question on the right, about halfway back.
Sean Fry with the Kansas State Collegian. Can you talk about your defensive end, Stanley Mapanga? He's had a real successful career. First team All Mountain West last year. He was voted preseason All Big 12. Just what are your thoughts on him as a player, and how he'll transition into the Big 12 now that, you know, it's a better athletic conference than the Mountain West was?
Well, number one, since he's in the back of the room, I want him to live up to that expectation. That'd be the first thing that I'd want him to do. But, you know, for us as a group, and we've said all the time, it's not what people talk about in August, what they say in November. And so, you know, we're going to start, and I hope he has a great season along with all the 4 guys that came, because for us to be what we need to be, you know, we have to have some guys step up. You know, we graduated a class last year that won 47 ball games. You got a chance, this group here has a chance to win that many ball games starting at 36-3, and it's something we talk about all the time. You got to give small goals. There has to be individual goals as groups, along with big groups, big goals as far as teams are concerned. But one of the obvious questions, one of the things, comments we always try to make sure that we answer is, what kind of football season are you going to give the senior class? And one of the things that's going to happen when we have an opportunity to break Dutch Meyer's record as a university, as a football program, is that I'm going to do a commemorative trading card deal where it has every senior class in it since we started back to 2001. You know, head coaches get too much credit. You know, the assistant coaches, my staff, most of those guys have been with me for 12 years. And we've had a little bit of changeover, but we've had a lot of different faces, a lot of different names of players that have come through, that have graduated, that have played a part. You know, I always tell them, this class helped build this. This class helped get the weight room in place. This class helped get the indoor in place. These last couple of classes got the stadium in place. It's just not about us. And so, you know, from a football perspective, those guys understand you got to love to play the game. You got to love to play it at a high level if you want to win. And I think that's the question. All of you, you know, we're all, not only you but me, you know, that's what we're looking for. How is TCU going to handle that high level from a week-to-week basis? And I think we have the potential to do that. Will we do it? You know, that's been a hard answer for everybody, not just TCU, everybody. If you look at the league, there's been ups and downs by everybody. But the bottom line to it is you got to come ready to play.
Okay, Coach, thank you very much for your comments. We're going to let you get off the hot seat for a while. Thank you. Thanks, Coach.